Budgets are all about spending and taxes, right? Well, what if I told you it was also time for Calgary's politicians to put on a bit of a show? Listen to this.
And Mayor, don't put words in my mouth. I'm not saying fire CAO or CAO. What I'm saying is operate a little bit more lean, like we are asking Calgarians to do.
I cannot, in good faith, shut down our business community simply because we're trying to score political points.
This is just cheap politics. I hope it's successful for you, Councillor Sharp, because I'm embarrassed.
So when we talk about the fat cats and the bloat, there's absolutely no way that you can point fingers here and not have war coming back to you.
That's just some of the discourse in chambers, in the media, and packaged to be put online. One expert tells me even though next year's election might seem far away, this is how politicians begin to set the stage.
And it's quite clear that many of them are trying to stake out a territory or a position that they think is going to align well with their voters. Now, we don't yet know who is running for re-election or whether they're going to be attached to a party or not. But given the amount of conversation there's been around ideology and particularly conservatism and fiscal conservatism, it does look like some of these people are trying to identify themselves in a particular space.
Williams says what resonates online doesn't always translate to the broader voter base. Generally, she says voters might tune out negativity, but look at social media feeds, and it might seem like this approach is a solid strategy.
That negativity gets a lot of attention, and in some cases, it can translate into supporters and particularly financial donors. And so there's an element of trying to sort of begin to build momentum, either in favor of a particular councillor or the mayor's re-election bid, or even if they aren't running for re-election, to try to build support in a direction that they think will be best for the city and for the future council.
I asked Williams if council members can send political signals to their base and deliver a balanced budget.
Everyone wants to look as though they're the ones with the clear-eyed vision of how to do things better and striking the right balance, but they'll also try to say that there are others who have got the wrong priorities and they're not accomplishing the correct objectives. And the real challenge is there are practical limits. There are limits on funds. Depending on how closely voters are paying attention to this, they might recognize that people are saying, well, we're not going to raise taxes right now, knowing full well that there will have to be something to make up for that shortfall down the road.
Williams says this budget theater might feed notions that council is dysfunctional.
We've seen dissatisfaction amongst Calgarians with the tenor, the tone, the dysfunctionality on city council, and not just in this council. It was on previous councils as well. We know there are divisions on this council, that people disagree about how to approach some issues, and those disagreements are, I think, a little bit more acute because we're dealing with a time where voters are not very happy. They are struggling with affordability. We've seen incumbent government after incumbent government either go down to defeat or reduce their support amongst the electorate. So I think there's a sense that many of these councillors they know that there are going to be big challenges for re-election for many of them.
The election may be something incumbents are thinking about, but for Calgarians, there are still major decisions ahead on projects like the Green Line. With just under a year to go until the next municipal election, voters might wonder if council can set aside its differences and get to work. Helen Pike, CBC News, Calgary.